So good morning, everybody, and welcome to this session. First of all, thanks to the BTO organizer for this opportunity and for making this exchange possible today and giving us also the opportunity to reconnect with long-lasting friends, we can say. I'm Elena Viani. You will see I represent a social enterprise called Acta Sensi Contemporanei, and I'm responsible in this company for training and tourism-related projects, in particular related to sustainability. Our organization has been working for over 30 years on sustainability and experimental projects together with the Europe DGs. So the title of our panels already gives us some keywords that are idealism and governance. At the first glance, they may sound like opposite. But the title is not about a separation in this case. It invites us to refocus on something that we often overlook while we chase measurable results. So the title is not about separation. It invites us to reflect on not only on what sustainability is, but on how it works. What happens when we are inside a project, when we need to make operational a set of standard indicators, when we need to confront with the complexity of the reality. So when we face leaving a negotiation. And in this case, when we face such changes that are sometimes not evitable, that are unexpected, that are undesired sometimes, that are outside of our control. So the question is, can we still claim to practice effective governance? That's the question. Perhaps the question is not about to control change, but how a DMO can stay within this flow. This brings us to the heart of our conversation today. So how can organization, institution, and in this case DMOs, learn to regulate processes rather than simply apply regulations? It's something different. So if DMOs need to stay within such changes, so to stay inside processes, what happens when these processes take place within the ecological transition or the digital transformation prescribed by policies, by public policies? So transition and transformation are not neutral. By definition, they are not neutral. They come with expectations, they come with regulation, but also for different targets. But this defines what change should look like, but leaving little space for uncertainty or leaving little space for experimentation. So DMOs live precisely in this space, so in the in-between, where policies meet practices, where intentions encounter the realities of the territories. So to explore this question today, we choose to bring here on this stage two generations, we can say, of experts from we have working with and that are working on such topics. For two of our guests, and that I will introduce you very briefly, the issue has been part of their professional life for more than 30 years. The third case, so the third panelist, a little bit less, but of course with no less intensity. We believe in this sense that time matters, the historical experience matters, the length, the continuity of such experiences, so the living experience that they have bring us to the key topic today. So, first of all, thanks to Carla, Herbert, and Filippo. They are here today. Herbert Amele is the president of Ecotrans, that is an NGO based in Germany, and he has not only witnessed but also shaped the long journey since the 90s. He has designed many of the criteria that have guided the Europe's transition towards sustainability, starting in the late 80s within the Studienkreis für Tourismus in Germany. So much of his collective experience and of the experience of Ecotrans is now accessible through the Ecotrans platform Tourist 2030 that Herbert will introduce us. And Herbert is a living experience, we can say, about the historicity of a sustainable pathway through the years. And at the same time, Herbert is still active in Germany, and he will introduce us a case of a destination, Saarland. Karl Reiner from Germany, from the ÖAR GmbH. It's from, what I said? From Germany, sorry, Karl. It's something different, of course. From Germany, from Austria, not from Germany. And Carla will bring us a complementary experience that of someone operating directly on the field with experiences in sustainability, of course, but destination management and mobility. That's another topic that we will touch later. And finally, Filippo De Agostini. He is the sustainability manager of San Vigilio Dolomites in South Tyrol, representing the Italian experience of DMOs that are evolving all over time and testing new models of coordination, communication, and participation. So the first question is for Herbert. So Herbert, we can start with you because you not only observe this evolution, but you actually helped to shape it throughout the latest 30 years. So how has Ecotrans work from the early tools to the current Tourist 2030 platform evolved over time to support this transition, so this pathway?
Thank you very Okay. Thank you very much for this invitation. It's a privilege to me. I'm probably one of the elder people sitting here, but it's a privilege to share our, let's say, experience over the past 30 years with you for one simple reason. And the reason is written here. In the beginning of the last century, in 1908, Hermann Löns, a German poet, said, in future, our main concern will no longer be whether we can travel to every place on earth. Our main interest will be whether it is worthwhile arriving there. And this has been, let's say, a driver, a motivation for the founding of our little network, Ecotrans, a network of professionals, of NGOs, of organizations working even since the 80s for making tourism more sustainable in Europe with different focuses which we can see as a frame for our work and our experience. Ecotrans is a combination of bringing ecology to knowledge. That means what is ecology related to tourism? Then transparency is very important to give access to information, and then transfer in order to allow people to make solutions on their own with checklists, with tools, etc. And then at the end, it does not work if there is no influence into the economy. That means transforming the market, and the economic experiences, the marketing experience, the feedback, again have an influence on what we name sustainable tourism. And these four aspects form the frame for Ecotrans. And I simply will share few experiences of our work with you, and you may have similar or many other experience which fit to the same frame. For example, what is sustainable tourism? In 1995 in Lanzarote, 400 people discussed and has as a result the Lanzarote World Conference on Sustainable Tourism definition. A few years later, for example, in the year 2000, in north of New York, in Mohonk, 30 international experts met in order to make the Mohonk Agreement with more specific criteria. What does sustainable tourism worldwide mean as a minimum? Then in 2005, the UNWTO, together with UNEP, published their Making Tourism More Sustainable guidebook for policymakers, for decision makers, which we can see since then as a Bible for those who deal with sustainable tourism development, because first ever they combined economic, ecologic, and social criteria and showed mutual benefits between these three sectors of action. Then later, for example, if we talk about ecotourism, 2008, Sicily, Cibilmano, dichiarazione di ecoturismo nel Mediterraneo was a milestone for that specific type of tourism. And after the World United Nations Summit in Johannesburg 2002, later UNEP and the Ministry of Government of France formed the International Task Force on Sustainable Tourism Development, and the result was the funding and the founding of the Global Sustainable Tourism Council, with these well-known four pillars for sustainable tourism definitions. And many certification programs rely on that since that time. Or later in Europe, there was made a more specific catalog of criteria and standards setting for ecotourism in Europe, or even more specific on biodiversity. Now, how was this list of definitions picked up? By sustainable tourism certification programs, and the first ever publication on that we had the pleasure to write on in 1995, the so-called Yellow Book of Ecolabels. These were ecolabels in Austria, in Germany, not many more in those times, but later the Voluntary Initiative for Sustainable Tourism publication by the World Tourism Organization already identified about 60 certification programs plus other voluntary initiatives like awards. Or later in 2018, the European Parliament had a strong interest on what's going on in Europe with credibly certified tourism, which certification programs are available and shall be promoted or not promoted. And there already was raised the fear and the threat of greenwashing. Then on transfer, what can be used, we started in 1995 with a European eco-letter, paperwork, 6,000 copies, envelope, stamp, sanding, so different from today. In 2006, the European Commission published their Innovation and Tourism Learning Area Handbook, which we had the pleasure to contribute to. And then in 2007, together with the European Environment Agency, we first ever formed a portal named Destinet in those time in order to give access to such information and to share information. Then a handbook and the European Tourism Indicator System 2016 probably might be well known or still or not yet known by you, by many other decision makers, but it was also a milestone in order to help destinations to identify their opportunities and how to manage tourism in order to become more sustainable and competitive as well. Then another similar book has been published recently in the same year in Germany, going into more detail. And one of the recent European projects dealt with best practice examples, which are all linked, have been provided by certification programs, 13 certification programs from more than 10 countries. And the good practice examples all have been linked to the Sustainable Development Goals 2030, the SDGs, which is unifying European and global development on more sustainability. And the last step here was the Going Green check, where we at Ecotrans provided an online tool for businesses in order to check their sustainability level and see how far they already might comply with one of the certification programs. And the last step here was how can this information be used? And on our platform, Destinet, which we linked to the Sustainable Development Goals as an official partnership, we are providing information linked to maps. And this is probably quite unique and very helpful. Who is who with stakeholders who are working for making tourism more sustainable. And then good practice examples, 1,000 good practice examples on business and destination level. Then the certification quick finder, 100 most relevant certification programs with profiles and indication on their sustainability level and credibility level. And the last one, the Travel Green Maps, with meanwhile 30,000 certified businesses and destinations and tour operators. And this information has been provided by the certification programs themselves in order to give them, the public, that means you, access to this information. Final issue, the difficult one, how to access the market. Not only in 2001, the Visit Initiative with first proposals to do a better marketing, or the guide through the label jungle for decision makers, also for consumers. But at the end, the last one here is that we succeeded a little bit to bring the Travel Green Maps to the tour operators, to the Germany Travel National Tourist Organization for their marketing, to travel agencies like Amadeus Bistro. Their system is used by 10,000 travel agencies in Germany. And for destinations, now to finish this, we have the total all-in-one map, which allows to bring together stakeholders, businesses going green, certification programs, and certified businesses and destinations. This is done exemplarily by and used by East Bavaria as a destination. And now I finish with this destination level. They have been used since 2-3 years, this Going Green mapping system. Number one, they mapped their 80 stakeholders. Number two, 350 businesses which somehow are going green because they are offering organic food or are plastic free. They have on the map, of course, the 70 certified businesses from the Travel Green Maps, and all in one, they have now access to that map as a management tool for transforming their tourism, for monitoring their tourism, and for bringing more SMEs, businesses, to certification. That means to credibility. Next step, final step here. Next year, they will invite 100 SMEs minimum to use the Going Green check in order to see their sustainability level. And this will be one part of the future Going Green system, which is under development. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Herbert. So Tourist 2030 is not only a huge database, probably the most important one in Europe, but is also a tool already used by destinations all over Europe. And Karl will introduce us very practical examples starting from 2 destinations in Austria, as Austria represents probably a unique case in Europe, not only because it has a participatory strategy, 600 companies involved in the plenty, and later Karl will explain it, 9 main topics, and also the experience of the use of EU Ecolabel, but also the Austrian Ecolabel that is quite important for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena, for invitation. Yes, I will try to give you a very short overview of what's going on in Austria. I have an overlook about more than 35 what's going on in Austria, and we say in the beginning, end of the 80s, there was some kind of destination management. We say 1.0, and now we are going to 4.0. And what's happening the last years, I only will give an overview about the last 5 years, because that's maybe on the national destination and Länder level. I think what's very important was a change from 3 to 4 was 2019, when Austria make a new tourism master plan, and to have the goal to get the most sustainable destination in Europe or maybe in the world. That was really a change, because the most important organization now works much more together. The Austrian National Tourism Organization and the Destination Network Austria have more or less the same perspective what's going on. And I think it was also very, what he already mentioned, and Herbert, is the certification schemes. Austria was one of the first, regions in the 80s. The silver diesel, I think, was one of the first eco-labels in Europe, I think. And since in the 90s, we have also Austrian eco-label for gastronomy and accommodations. And you've seen just this picture. It was a long time, doesn't happen very much, but the last 10 years, we have now about more than 700 certified businesses, and since some years we was all very involved in this. Have also a certification for destinations. Since 23, we started with 3, now we have already more than 12 destinations, and I think that's changed very much how the process is going on in destination in Austria. And there were some, I will not go in detail because we have not the time, but was really also mentioned before, also in another panel, it's a different how the destination work now together. It's really a change of the mindset. It's not only the guests are in the center, guest is not the king anymore, but you have to work together with the population. It's not an easy task, but that is a really completely new organization of the destination management organizations. They have new knowledge and new know-how, new people, also new jobs, sustainable managers and so on. It was also going on in the last 5, 6, 10 years. And was helped very much is also the legislative and the funding situation who helped the destination to do all these things. And I think also external support of expertise. For example, what we say it's really very important is leadership, governance, and have a really a strategy on every level, also on destination level, of course, and to also to have different tools like green teams. It's not an easy task to integrate all the relevant stakeholders, and especially how to integrate the local population. We had something also as in other panel before. Now I will only give two examples of two lenders or provinces. They have really a very coordinated approach. It's Burgenland, it's on the border to Hungary, and later Carinthia on the border to Italy and Slovenia. Because that was really approach comes also a little from top down. To give a lot of support, it's only 3 destinations with more than 150 municipalities, and they work more than 1.5 years on a common strategy and a lot of to integrate more or less all the relevant stakeholders, like I don't know you have the names, the climate, there's CHEM in Austria, it's called climate energy model regions, nature parks and so on, and business networks. That is very crucial, and it's really a lot of work to integrate them people, but it really makes a great difference. And for example, that's one example. Sorry, I don't can show. Oh, that's the wrong direction. The climate change is a strong issue also in the criteria for the certification. The climate adaptation tools. It was only some weeks ago a conference in Burgenland how to do this and to integrate all relevant business and so on. It's really, I think, I don't think that these DMOs 20 years ago have any question about climate change. So it's a very different approach. And here you see some pictures. The roadmap, it's about more than 2 years, I think. The work, and it's also what's very important. It's also part of the governmental program of Burgenland, and also the funding schemes are relevant to implement the activities. The second one is Carinthia, where I come from. It's starting already this year. It should be a process more than 2.5 years. It's about 8 destinations involved, and in the end they should all be certified. But it's not the main goal to be certified. It's more the process to set up to bring all the partners together, and now we are in the situation to create the green teams. In all destinations, it's really, I'm involved very much in this. It's not an easy task who we involved, and what is always a real challenge, how to involve the local population. And there's also a program, I will not go in detail, with different work packages. And what is special, it is a coordinated process. There's one coordinator who work for all destinations together, that not every destination have the same work, provides manuals, tools, and so on. And you see that it's also people behind, what also new jobs. There are SDG coaches are relevant for each destination, and my role is external expertise to help the coaches to do this process in each destination. Yet only one example on the destination level. I'm also very much involved is NLW. It's called Nassfeld, Lesachtal, Weißensee. Weißensee is one of the first destinations in Austria to get the European prize in the 90s for sustainable tourism, environmental tourism. So it's really a very long-lasting process. And then it's a very Alpine lake. It's more or less only 10% is really with buildings, the rest is more or less protected areas. And it's insofern very relevant because they have worked really about 25, 30 years on a destination path. And was also the first destination was certified, also with GSTC and now with the Austrian eco-label. And what they do also to integrate the stakeholders to make more or less every year, every month, 2 months, some kind of dialogue forums for special tasks like to use the infrastructure for hikers, bikers, and to talk with the farmers. They own these areas. In the reality, it's really hard work, but they didn't do this 20 years ago. It's really a new approach in the last 5-10 years. And finally, I have 2 more slides. It's, the DNA is the destination organization of all DMOs in Austria, about more than 200. They have now a very a new manual with a new perspective. I said before, it's a new mindset from it's not only a marketing organization, they see them as life space management. So it's integrating not only the tourism offer and the guests, but also the local people, the local businesses, not only the tourist businesses, but all the businesses in the region. And this is very new, so it's more or less a common sense in Austria since 1-2 years to work on this level. And the last one, it's only to bring them together. What is the main statements? Of course, it said already before, governance leadership is crucial. If the DMO don't steer the process, it doesn't work. So you need also more people, more know-how to do this. And yeah, the change of the mindset and the coordinated process. That's it. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Carl, for this historical overview, but also for introducing us the concept of Lebensraum that we will later go back to this concept. Finally, Filippo. Filippo is the sustainability manager of San Vigilio Dolomites, and he or you, we can say, represents the youngest generation of DMOs in relation to these historical experiences. But anyway, your cooperative has adopted the GSTC framework and helped, so the question is how this framework, so the GSTC standard, help your DMO evolving from compliance to real transformation. I mean, what we said in the introduction, from an application of regulations to a regulation of some processes.
Yeah, thank you, Elena. Thank you, everybody, for this opportunity to share our story. So I'm Filippo, sustainability manager for San Vigilio Dolomites. San Vigilio is a small mountain destination in the Alps. It has your typical tourism of outside and outdoor activities, hiking and skiing. San Vigilio has more than half of its territory as protected area. Only 3% of the total territory is actually built. And in San Vigilio lives around 5,000 people, and last year we clocked to again around 900,000 overnights. So it's a significant touristic presence. It has a lot of impacts, and it needs to be carefully managed. Now, who's managing all of this? It's us. We are the DMO. We are a private enterprise. We are non-political. We are a cooperative, which means that we represent in some way the entirety of the territory. To this cooperative are associated not only touristic businesses, but also farmers, other businesses like craftsmen and artisans, and that is because the territory has understood that tourism is the main driver for wealth and well-being in the area. To tourism, we can reconduce around 95% of the total added value in the destination, and that's significant, right? And in order for us to get some instruments to better manage all of this potential impact, we decided in 2020, it was COVID time, it was a bit of a pause from business as usual, we can say, and we decided to pursue this GSTC certification. And the most important thing here is that we just did not do it as a DMO by keeping this certification in the strategy somewhere around in a corner of the room. We decided to do this together with hospitality structures. At first there were 3, now we are up to 8, another one is coming. Because the important thing is that when you start working in sustainability, the change that you want to have needs to be, multi-level, right? There needs to be this sort of coherence between what we do as a destination, but what the guests, once they get to the destination, actually can find. And the experience of the guest happens at the operational level, right? It happens in the hotels, it happens in apartments, and that is where we need to work. So why did we choose this route? So for sure, the standards, as we have seen with Herbert, right? There are a lot of standards, they are very valid. They provide fantastic instruments and guidelines to work in tourism, right? To do things the right way. They give us, ideas and suggestions for action and for strategy. Another reason was to pursue the certification as a way to, let's say, future-proof the destination. We know that there are growing trends of people interested in, sustainable and responsible travel. So this was, in some way, a message, right? It was not like a marketing. The marketing was not purely economical as idea, right? We are lucky we're in the Dolomites. We have a lot of people that are already coming there, maybe too much even. So we do not need to work on just quantity, but we need to work on quality. And that does not mean getting people to pay more because we are sustainable. That just means to get people that are more aligned with what are the actual values of the destination. And the values point is the biggest change that we have seen with the certification. Once we started working in sustainability, we discovered what were the values. We rediscovered, let's say, the values that were there in the territory, the values that the people that live in our area, they belong to this laden culture. It goes back to more than 2,000 years, and they have done a fantastic work in keeping traditions and values alive through generations up until today. And these are values that were relevant. So there are values like, balancing the usage of resources, keeping, usage and consumption at the same level. And it's significant because some of the older people still living in San Vigilio, they experienced hunger once they were younger because there was sometimes not enough to eat in the winter. So it's important for us as the DMO to send this message to say we are working on sustainability, we recognize these values. These are also the things that we believe are right. This is the good way, the good path that we need to choose. And once we did this, once we recognized this value and we brought them to the surface, our work has been completely revolutionized because talking with stakeholders, collaborating with farmers has become much, much easier. And it's really, really important at the operational level that you can actually have this good collaboration as a DMO. So what was needed is that, you can read it. So it was structure. We needed somebody who was responsible, who was okay with taking on this responsibility of managing the destination. That was us, the DMO. The DMO needed to be brave, right? Sometimes the choices around sustainability require a bit of courage because you need to take risks. You need to take things that might not be financially viable in the short term, but they might prove functional in the long term, and we needed trust. Trust is the most important resource that we have built through the certification because, again, by recognizing and following and pursuing those values, the people that live in the destination now trust us more. They believe that the work we are doing is good. Of course, trust was also built practically. We need to show that it's actually real, and through that, we really, really changed how we work, and it's through a better way. So in terms of process, we need to explain for sure what's going on. Explaining this strange STC certification, it's important, especially if you work with small, medium enterprises, familiar ones. We needed to set the example, that is important again. We needed to show that things could be done. We needed to take the first step, and then the people followed us, right? Because we worked on those values, we worked on things that they felt were right, and once we started doing that, the people followed us through in the events, in the various activities that we do, and of course the element of pushing for this shared sustainability. So for the future, we need to keep in mind these three things, mainly like commitment. We need to work and keep in mind these values as the basis for our action, right? So commitment, we decided to go towards sustainability. It's not just a stamp that we got with certification and it's over. It's a continuous process. We need to be transparent. We need to, be upfront with people that we are not perfect. We need your help to get better. And we need to be open, right? We need to, in some way, keep our borders open, both on the inside to get people to, again, share this journey, the stakeholders, and get their help. We need to be open on the outside with other destinations, with other, opportunities that are there. And I believe that if we actually, work with seriousness, we work with passion, and if it work, by believing that sustainability is the right path that we need to pursue, then the changes come and they are good. Thank you.
So thanks a lot, Filippo. You really properly explained the concept and the difference from a blueprint, so from a model to the real involvement inside a process. So we still have 9 minutes, so 2 minutes for for wrap up and for the last question probably, and I would go back to Carla, so to Austria, to show us very briefly what you are doing in Carinthia and Burgenland in terms of changing the approach. So you are doing a lot of stakeholders interviews, but what has really changed inside the in these organizations?
Yeah, I think I said before, the most visible change is the approach, the mindset, and also is visible in the organizations. To have new people, new know-how, different settings, the work with in the destinations, the strategies, the wording, the communication. For example, NLW have now a new, different communication work, how to work with the people. It's very new, it's for the next year. And it's a completely different wording we had maybe 5-10 years ago. And the other thing, what I learned that through the process in the certification, which needs more or less 2 years, that much more businesses come in and make the certification. We had seen in the numbers before, more or less every destination is going through a process. Had in the beginning maybe 2 certified businesses, and in the end, after 2 years, for example, NLW has now from 7 to already 30 certified businesses after 2-3 years. So that I think is one of the most visible changes, more or less in every destination, if you really work with the people and the businesses.
Thanks, Carla. And Filippo, more or less the same question for you. You can explain better the cultural shift, the cultural approach apart from the or within the GSTC model, but you really improve the concept of responsibility.
Yeah. So there was a big change in terms of consciousness. When starting to work on GSTC, we understood much better where we were and where we wanted to be. And this brought with it everything else, basically. We decided to work on sustainability as a real thing, right? We decided to provide real results, to insert it in everything that we do as a DMO, so be it marketing, be it the development of new products and activities. And it has helped us really much. For example, statistically, we didn't really collect much data. Now we have much more robust practices for data collection that are helping us, inform our choices and stand by these choices that we have taken. We have a much better way of making events. For example, we now make events that are locals first, right? We design them to be interesting for the locals, and then the tourists appreciate it because it's more authentic and it's what they want, right? And it's where we want to bring those type of tourists. And yeah, it's been a great change. We have had incredible opportunities through the GSTC because we have been forced to open up. So we have created this internal working group. We have creating a working group with other certified destination in South Tyrol. We have created a GSTC Italian working group that is helping us, bring then good values and good practices and things that are making us better every day, right? And again, we have had connections with university, we have had connection with startups, we have created this sustainable chatbot that it's quite an interesting project. And I would say that the most important thing is that every practical change that we did, as long as we made the things real, then the people appreciated it, understood that we were on the same side, and we are working much better.
So thanks, Filippo. Herbert, you are apart from this great historical experience, but at the moment you are also working in Saarland. We would like to show you very briefly the experience of Saarland because it's one of the destinations recognized by the European Commission through the European Transition Pathway. So it's a great example. You will find lots of information on the website and also some so the pathway in that case, please.
Okay. I'm living in the Saarland in Saarbrücken. Okay. And in that destination, Saarland, not okay, yeah. the Saarland is located in the southwest of Germany, close to Luxembourg and directly next to the French border. And this little region with 1 million inhabitants successfully has started about 10 years ago to transform their tourism in the Saarland towards more sustainability and also competitiveness. In their recent sustainability report 2024, they show, amongst other part of the network, that they are supported by an advisory group, which has been working since 10 years in order to meet the Tourzert certification for destinations. And Saarland has been the first larger destination in Germany being awarded by that certification program together with a 10 years work program. And here you see the surface of the Saarland with nature and national park and protected areas and cities and their mobility public transport system. And one of the best practice examples in public transport is the Bliesgau bus, which is not only used by tourists, and this was not so easy to convince them to not go by car through that biosphere reserve area, but also by the local population. A quite successful example. And at the end, after 10 years working, they can say that Saarland tourism is growing sustainably, and there are some indicators to show evidence. They strengthened the Saarland economy through mutual benefits with agricultural products and other sectors. They can say that tourism now is more environmentally friendly as 10 years ago in the Saarland, and it is a success of raising the quality of life for the local population. Of course, these aspects are not used that directly in their marketing. In the marketing, they are using different words. And that's very important for those who are working in destination management and others, that it does not help very much to say that you have 13 certified businesses. You need to use terms which are catchy for the clients, for the tourists. This is not an impossible job, it is a challenging job. And it works, as you can see in the Saarland. Now to sum up what we heard before, and allow me to give a little summary. What's the future of destinations in Europe? Europe is not alone in the world, but Europe really must focus on its own strengths, history, opportunities, and also policies. And of course, there are more and more destinations linking their strategy and their plans directly or indirectly to the Sustainable Development Goals. 12, 13, 14, 15, probably you know them, and combining this with the implementation of European policies, following the European policies, the Green Deal Directive, the Empowering Consumers Directive, the objectives for getting loans from the bank, environmental objectives. And they are more and more using supporting tools in order to manage their tourism development and also to be used for marketing. For example, the Going Green system. And as Carl said, Austria, destinations go for certification. Here on the bottom right corner, I can't see it, there is the Austrian eco-label, but also other eco-labels are available to you and being certified or going for certification. They are drivers for sustainable tourism development. They are promoted by their countries, like in Germany, Saarland. They are transforming the European tourism, and at the end, they are drivers for the Sustainable Development Goals. Grazie mille per l'attenzione.
So, Thanks, Herbert, for this wrap-up. We represented this flow through historical lenses, but also in terms of transformation and transition using this kind of approach. Unfortunately, we have no more time at the moment to ask for your question, but you can see there our email address. So if you need or if you want to pose some questions, we are open, of course, as this flow is still on course. We are still working and we will keep on working on such topics. So thanks a lot for your attention and see you.